Welcome everyone to a new episode of Filmo-linguistics, and today we'll be talking about present simple. So that's a bit of the change, because in the previous episodes we were talking about some non-standard forms, right? But in the coming episodes we'll be talking about tenses. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the present simple. And I'm going to start by talking about the usages of the present simple, and then I'll talk about the form, and finally the pronunciation. Right. Okay, so let's talk about the first usage of the present simple. And we would say that the present simple is used in English language to talk about general time. So that's the first usage. And when we talk about general time, we mean by this something like the status quo. What is the status quo, actually? The status quo is the current situation. So we use present simple in English language when we want to talk about our current situations. Let's have some examples from movies and see what we mean by this. Right, and I've got the movie Day Zero. And let's have a look at the text together. You have any brothers and sisters? 2 brothers, folks. They live in Minnesota. Right, so look at this. They live in Minnesota. They live in Minnesota. As you see, live, that's the form of the present simple. And again, that's the status quo. What do we mean by the status quo? This is the current situation of the speaker's brothers. 2 brothers and they live in Minnesota. So that's the current situation. And that's why we use present simple. Let's have a look at another movie. And this movie is Porkys 2, The Next Day. And let's read the text together. How come we've never seen you at the library? She works odd hours. Midnight till 3. Now, one more time, let's read this. How come we've never seen you at the library? She works odd hours. Midnight till 3. So look at this. She works odd hours. She works odd hours. She works odd hours. I mean, works. That's the form of the present simple. And it is used here because that's the current situation. She works odd hours. That's the current situation. This is how she works these days. And this is why, again, present simple is used. Now, another example, and this time the movie, Carve Her Name with Pride. And let's have a look at the conversation here. Do you have somewhere to stay? I shall stay in a hotel, thank you. But, mademoiselle, you will find accommodations very difficult in war. I stay in a small hotel. I could find you a room there. I'd rather not, thank you. So let's read it again. Do you have somewhere to stay? I shall stay in a hotel, thank you. But, mademoiselle, you will find accommodations very difficult in war. I stay in a small hotel. I could find you a room there. I'd rather not, thank you. So let's have a look at what he said at the very beginning. Okay, the first question, which is, do you have somewhere to stay? The question is in the present simple. Do you have somewhere to stay? Why? Because he's asking about the current situation. Okay, the status quo again. And look at the speaker A. He said, I stay in a small hotel. I stay, and stay here, that's the form of the present simple. Again, it is used because the speaker expresses a current situation. That's where I live now. I stay in a small hotel. Right, good. Now let's move to another usage of the present simple, and also it is related to what we call general time. And we mean by general time, not a very specific time. And let's have a look at this. And this is what we call facts. So again, present simple is used in English to express facts. Let's have a look at the movie A Lawless Street, right? And let's read this conversation together. You know what happens when you put a lid on a boiling pot? It either boils over or it explodes. Now one more time. You know what happens when you put a lid on a boiling pot? It either boils over or it explodes. So again, look at this. It either boils over or it explodes. So it either boils or it explodes. Again, these are 2 examples of present simple. why they're used here, boils and explodes, because we're talking about facts. Another example from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, A Way of Life. And let's read this together. The kingdom of Ladakh, once considered Western Tibet, is now administered by the Indian government. It's located 3,700 meters above sea level on the borders of China and Pakistan. Because it lies in a politically sensitive area, foreigners were forbidden to visit there until 1974. Let's read it again. The kingdom of Ladakh, once considered Western Tibet, is now administered by the Indian government. It's located 3,700 meters above sea level on the borders of China and Pakistan. Because it lies in a politically sensitive area, foreigners were forbidden to visit there until 1974. Let's have a look at the present simple in this text. And what do we have? Is now administered by the Indian government. Is now administered by the Indian government. That's the current situation. It is located here. That's a fact, of course, and this is why, again, present simple is used. It is located. Okay, now let's move to a fact here, which is because it lies in a politically sensitive area. Because it lies, that's a fact. It lies in a politically sensitive area. So again, it lies, it is located. Okay, the first one is the current situation, which is now administered. So that's these are good examples of present simple used for facts. Now, another movie, which is Mermaids, The Body Found. And let's have a look at the text in this movie. This was something new. This was a new species. There were puncture marks around the shark's gills and mouth, and I initially thought these might have been injuries sustained when it was gaffed to the side of the boat. But I probed one of them, and I found a stingray barb inside. Now, this could have come from a stingray defending itself. Sharks eat stingrays. Hammerheads do. Tigers do. Now let's read this one more time. This was something new. This was a new species. There were puncture marks around the shark's gills and mouth. And I initially thought these might have been injuries sustained when it was gaffed to the side of the boat. But I probed one of them, and I found a stingray barb inside. Now, this could have come from a stingray defending itself. Sharks eat stingrays. Hammerheads do. Tigers do. Now, let's have a look at these three facts mentioned one after the other. Sharks eat stingrays. That's a fact. Hammerheads, another kind of sharks. Hammerheads do. Tigers do. And because the speaker here talks about facts related to sea animals. So again, as you see, it's present simple form all the time. Eat, do. Now, one last movie related to the use of present simple for facts is Underwater Universe. Let's have a look. As water rushes in, a wave train moves back out, causing a tsunami as high as the Empire State Building. An expanding ring of waves radiates outward in all directions. One more time. As water rushes in, a wave train moves back out, causing a tsunami as high as the Empire State Building. An expanding ring of waves radiates outward in all directions. Now look at it. An expanding ring of waves radiates outward in all directions. Again, the whole thing is about facts here. Water rushes in. A wave train moves back. Okay, and then an expanding ring of waves radiates. So we've got rushes, moves, radiates, all present simple forms. Why? Because we're talking about facts. So again, we're talking about using present simple for general time. And when we say general time, it means we're not talking about a specific time reference. we're talking about past, present, and future. And we said that the first one is the status quo. The second one is facts. Now let's move to the third one, which is habits. And let's talk a bit about habits and the movie The Wild Parrots of Telegraph Hill. The Wild Parrots of Telegraph Hill. Right. Let's read this together. The most common hawk in the area is the red tail. I usually see red-tailed hawks, Cooper's hawks, sometimes sharp-shinned, red-shouldered hawks. Now one more time. The most common hawk in the area is the red tail. I usually see red-tailed hawks, Cooper hawks, sometimes sharp-shinned, red-shouldered hawks. Now again, I usually see red-tailed hawks. Well, that's a habit. I usually see red-tailed hawks, right? As the speaker is talking about, things that happened, okay, from a time to another, right? Now let's move to this movie, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, and let's read this together. I'll be back at Christmas. Maybe Jim will come home with me. Yeah, I'd like to meet him. It seems real serious. It's hard to find someone as nice as you, Dad. What does he do? The Jim guy. He's a road manager for a rock group. I hope he's not a drug addict. He smokes some grass, and he does a little cocaine once in a while, but I assure you, he's perfectly normal. Well, that doesn't sound normal, does it? Right, anyway, now let's read this one more time. I'll be back at Christmas. Maybe Jim will come home with me. Yeah, I'd like to meet him. It seems real serious. It's hard to find someone as nice as you, Dad. What does he do? This Jim guy. He's a road manager for a rock group. I hope he's not a drug addict. He smokes some grass, and he does a little cocaine once in a while. But I assure you, he's perfectly normal. Now let's talk about habits here. And we have this. He smokes some grass. That's a habit. He does a little cocaine. I mean, terrible habits, of course. But again, look at this. He smokes, present simple. He does, present simple. Why? Because the speaker is talking about habits. And habits. It's part of general time. Now, let's go to the movie Without Love. And let's see the script here. She lives alone. She walks alone. She rides alone. She even eats alone. Now, the speaker here is talking about someone, and this person, okay, and the speaker is talking about this person's habits. She lives alone, present simple. She walks alone, present simple. She rides alone, present simple. She even eats alone. When we see this, we understand that the speaker is actually talking about this person's habits, right? Now let's move to another usage of the present simple. So we talked about general time. Now let's talk about future time. So using present simple to speak about the future. And the first part is what we call timetabled events. Timetabled events. And when we say timetabled events, we're talking about events in the future. But these events are part of a timetable. Someone might say like what? Like tables at the train station, tables at an airport for planes and flights, teachers' timetables for lectures and classes, stuff like that. Let's have the first example from the movie War Dogs. And let's read the text together. My flight leaves tomorrow morning at 10. I can't spend more than 48 hours in this dump. That's what I always say. Vegas is a 2-day town. Now one more time. My flight leaves tomorrow morning at 10. I can't spend more than 48 hours in this dump. That's what I always say. Vegas is a 2-day town. Now, my flight leaves tomorrow. That's the future. But what are we using here? We're using leaves, which is present simple. Why? It's because I'm talking about a flight. And flights are arranged in a timetable. And these flights leave according to that scheduled timetable. And this is one of the usages of present simple. Another example from another movie. And the movie is signed, sealed, delivered from the heart. Okay, let's read this together. There's a lecture tomorrow night at the Colorado Stamp Collectors Club. There's a lecture tomorrow night at the Colorado Stamp Collectors Club. Look at this. There is a lecture. There is a lecture tomorrow. So it is was tomorrow. The speaker didn't say there will be. The speaker said there is a lecture tomorrow night at the Colorado Stamp Collectors Club. Why? Because this is something scheduled. This is something timetabled. An example from another movie. Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman. This time we have a paid no expense. We're using a luxury cruise liner as our cover. And the ship sails tonight. This time we have spared no expense. We're using a luxury cruise liner as our cover. And the ship sails tonight. Look at this. And the ship sails tonight. So sails, that's present simple. Tonight, that's the future. So again, why? Because when we talk about trains, when we talk about planes, when we talk about ships, okay, these vehicles leave, come and go according to a schedule, according to a timetable. And that's why we use present simple with them. Right. Now, another usage for the present simple to express the future is what we call using the present simple in subordinate clauses that refer to the future. In subordinate clauses that refer to the future. And what do we mean by subordinate clauses? Like, let's talk about this through the coming movie. And the movie is Monster High, Electrified. Let's read this conversation together. Hey, so I'm going to go spy on a zombie sale. I'm pretty sure those guys are hiding something. Be sure to call me when you find out. Of course I will. Let's read it again. Hey, so I'm going to go spy on that zombie sale. I'm pretty sure those guys are hiding something. Be sure to call me when you find out. Of course I will. Now, let's focus on this one. Be sure to call me when you find out. When you find out, we call it a subordinate clause. Why a subordinate clause? Because this clause cannot stand on its own. It cannot appear alone in a context, or it will not give a meaning. How? Because you cannot say, when you find out, that doesn't give a meaning. But you can say, be sure to call me. That gives a meaning. That's why the first one is what we call an independent clause, but the second one is a dependent clause, right? So, bottom line is, be sure to call me when you find out. Now, the question is, find out when? Are we talking about past, present, or future? No, we're talking about future. When you find out, in the future. But look at this. It is find out. The guy didn't say when you will find out. No. It's when you find out. That's present simple. And this is one of the usages of the present simple. It is used with subordinate clauses to talk about the future. Another example from the movie Memento. And let's read the text. This is a message for Teddy. I'm at the Mount Crest Inn on 5th Street, room 6. I need you to come over as soon as you get this. One more time. This is a message for Teddy. I am at the Mount Crest Inn on 5th Street, room 6. I need you to come over as soon as you get this. Look at this. As soon as you get this. I need you to come over as soon as you get this. As soon as you get this when? In the past? No. In the present? No. It's in the future. But look at the form. As soon as you get this, that's present simple. Again, why? Because subordinate clause. Now another example, and this time the movie, All Superheroes Must Die. Let's read this together. Each team has 5 minutes to get to its destination. Once you arrive, you will receive your final set of instructions for the first round. One more time. Each team has 5 minutes to get to its destination. Once you arrive, you will receive your final set of instructions for the first round. You will receive, once you arrive, you will receive. Now, once you arrive when? Are we talking about present, past, or future? We're talking about future. But look at the form. Once you arrive, that's the form of the present simple. So again, as we said, subordinate clause, present simple is used for the future. Another example, and this time the movie Australia. Let's read this together. Gotta get to Darwin before the ship sails. Gotta get to Darwin before the ship sail. Before the ship sails. Now when we say gotta get to Darwin before the ship sails, when will the ship sail? In the past? In the present? Of course it's in the future, but look, the ship sails. The guy didn't say before the ship will sail, no. Before the ship sails. Right. So we talked about using present simple for general time, and we talked about using present simple for future. And now we're going to talk about using present simple for things that happen around the present. Things that happen around the present, which is something like now. And actually this usage goes with non-progressive verbs. And when we say non-progressive verbs, we say that verbs that cannot be used in the present participle or in the ing form. And let's have a look at the movie American Hostage. The water feels good. I like this house. I could see myself living here. Now look at what the speaker said. I like this house. The water feels good. I like this house. I could see myself living here. Now, I like this house. This is about now. It's not about general time. It's not about the future. It's about now. That's how I feel now. But because like is a non-progressive verb, we cannot use it in the ing form. Okay, or the present. That's why we use present simple. Another example from the movie Shakedown. Let's read this together. And Roland, about that tie. Yeah, what about it? I like this tie. One more time. And Roland, about that tie. Yeah, what about it? I like this tie. So, I like this tie. This is again something the speaker is talking about around the present now, right? And again, I like because like is a non-progressive verb, and that's why it is used here in the present form. Good. Another movie which is The Alarmist. And let's read the conversation here. Do you like the dessert? I love it. One more time. Do you like the dessert? I love it. So I love it here. I'm talking about now. But again, because love is a non-progressive verb, that's why it is used in the present simple. So till now, 3 usages: general time, future, and about now. Now let's move to the 4th usage of the present simple, which is what we call the series of events. Series of events. And the first example is recipes. Because again, when you tell someone about a recipe, you go from a step to another. So there is a series in here. And let's have an example from the movie The Abduction of Zach Butterfield. Remember, 6 tablespoons of salt in every gallon of boiling water. Then you let the water cool. Then you add the warm water to the cheese curds. And then you mash the cheese curds up, and then you can add a little bit more water until you have a well-formed ball. Now let's read this together. Remember, 6 tablespoons of salt in every gallon of boiling water. Then you let the water cool. Then you add the warm water to the cheese curds. And then you mash the cheese curds up. And then you can add a little bit more water until you have a well-formed ball. Right. So, let's have a look at this. So, you add the warm water. That's present simple. You mash the cheese. That's present simple. right? Again, you add, you mash. Why? Because a series of events, because we're talking about a recipe here. So we're still talking about series of events. Let's have a look at another series of events and sport commentaries. And let's have an example from the Twin Town movie. Wales versus Scotland, Murrayfield, 1977. The Scots have got control, been running us ragged for 15 minutes. But we receive the ball for Andy Irvin in our own 25. JB passes the ball to Fennick. Fennick punts the ball out of Gerald Davis, who sidesteps twice, palms off a man before. So again, that looks like, commentary on a sport. But let's have a look at present simple here. And we have, we receive the ball, receive, present simple. JB passes the ball to Fennick, passes, present simple. Fennick punts the ball, present simple. Who sidesteps twice, sidesteps, present simple. Why? Series of events in sports commentary. Right. Another example of a series of events is actually telling jokes, because usually in jokes you have those events one after the other. Let's have this example from the movie Assassins. Once upon a time there was this little sparrow who, while flying south for the winter, froze solid and fell to the ground. And then, to make matters worse, the cow crapped on him, but the manure was all warm and it defrosted him. So there he is, he's warm and he's happy to be alive, and he starts to sing. A hungry cat comes along and he clears off the manure and he looks at the little bird and then he eats him. And the moral of the story is this: everyone who craps on you is not necessarily your enemy, and everyone who gets you out of crap is not necessarily your friend. And if you're warm and happy, no matter where you are, you should just keep your big mouth shut. So again, let's look at examples of the present simple here. And when we look at starting the third line, so there he is, that's present simple. He's warm, present simple. He's happy, present simple. A hungry cat comes, present simple. Clears, present simple. Looks, present simple. Then he eats him, present simple. So again, why present simple, present simple, present simple is because series of events. Right. Now let's move to another usage of the present simple, which is actually using present simple with introductory expressions, like I hear, I see, I gather, I understand. Let's have a look from the movie Abattoir. When we first spoke, I told you about the fire. I gather you figured out how I got there. Again. When we first spoke, I told you about the fire. I gather you figured out how I got there. I gather you figured out how I got there. I gather you figured out how I got there. Another example from the movie, Changeling. And let's read this together. And maybe that kid made a mistake when he picked Walter's picture. I understand you don't want to accept this. Okay. And maybe that kid made a mistake when he picked Walter's picture. I understand you don't want to accept this. I understand you don't want to. So again, I understand. That's an introductory expression. Right. Again, one last usage of the present simple is actually using it with fixed phrases. Especially these fixed phrases are used a lot in letter writing. It's like when you say, we write to advise you, or when you say, we look forward to. Well, let's have an example on look forward to from the movie Churchill's Secret. I thought I might just sum up what I feel. No one expects a long speech. If you feel you can't get through it, just cut to the end. And I look forward over the coming years to working with you to make that happen. I look forward over the coming years to working with you to make that happen. So look forward. That's one of the expressions that can be used in the present simple, fixed expressions. Now, so again, the present simple comes in two forms. It is either the first conjugation of the verb only, like leave, or the first conjugation of the verb along with the suffix s added to it. So you either say leave or leaves, work or works, go and goes, watch and watches, right? These are the only two forms for the present simple, right? Now, we use watch when we say I watch, you watch, they watch, okay? So I, they, we, and you, and we can add it also with plural nouns like the boys watch, the guys watch, the men watch, the women watch, right? But you use watches when you say he watches, she watches, it watches, or you use a singular noun like the guy watches, the boy watches, the lady watches, right? Good. Now, about pronunciation. The only problem is actually with the pronunciation of the suffix s when added to the verb. So if you have a verb that ends in these letter or sounds, the sound p, t, k, f, then you will pronounce the suffix s as s. For example, you say keeps, beats, books, laughs. But if the verb ends in these sounds b, d, g, v, m, n, n, l, r, then the s sound will be pronounced as z. For example, you say grabs, needs, begs, gives, blames, rains, sings, kills, bears. Also, or if the verb ends in a vowel sound, you will pronounce the s or the suffix s as z again. So you say goes, or you say tries, or you say sees, right? Now, if your verb ends with these sounds s, z, j, sh, ch, or j, then you will pronounce the suffix s as is. For example, you say misses, buzzes, judges, washes, watches, massages. Now let's move to the negative form of the present simple. There are two ways to negate the present simple. You can either use don't or you can use doesn't. And we use don't with I, they, we, you, or a plural noun. And we use doesn't with he, she, it, or a singular noun. So let's have a look at some examples from some movies and also see how we're supposed to pronounce the negative form of the present simple. Let's have a look at this. And the movie, Dad's Army, and we've got a conversation between two speakers here. Who's the appointed commander? I don't know. One more time. Who's the appointed commander? I don't know. Now look at this. I didn't say I don't know. I said I don't know. Now what happened to the t sound? It is gone. And this is what happens most of the time when you're using don't and doesn't. It is something in English that we call elision. And why do we do that? Because we want our pronunciation to be more smooth, right? And we want it to be more natural. So let's have a look at this. Again, who's the appointed commander? I don't know. Now let's go to another movie, and we've got The Badge, and let's read this script together. She doesn't want to go there. She wants to use the bathroom. She doesn't want to go there. Listen to the pronunciation. She doesn't want. She doesn't want. So again, where is the test sound? It is gone. And that's elision one more time. Why? Because you want your pronunciation to be more natural. Okay, lovely. Now, let's move to questions. And questions, again, in the present simple are made by do and does. And again, we use do with I, we, they, you, and also plural nouns. And we use does with he, she, it, and singular nouns. Let's have an example here, and the movie Over the Top. Okay, and let's read this conversation here. Hark, what you want? Mr. Cutler wants a word with you. One more time. Hark, what you want? Mr. Cutler wants a word with you. Now, look at the pronunciation of what do you want? In connected speech, what you want? What you want? Now, what happened? Do and the yes sound, when we put them together, they give you the sound j. So you say it, what you want, what you want, what you want. Quickly, hark, what you want? Mr. Cutler wants a word with you. Right? Good, lovely. Now, Guido, and let's read the script together. We've got also a conversation here. Where does your sister live? I have to concentrate on my driving. Now listen again. Where does your sister live? I have to concentrate on my driving. Now again, listen. Where does your sister live was pronounced. Where does your sister live? Quickly. Where does your sister live? Where does your sister live? Where does your sister live? Now what's the rule here? Again, you've got does, and because you have the sound z at the very end, meeting the sound y in your, then you put them together in connected speech and they become the chest sound. And then you say it quickly, where does your sister live? Where does your sister? Where does your sister live? This is a kind of assimilation here to make speaking more natural. Right, but again, don't try to slow down when you're doing this, because if you slow down, you're pronouncing this way, it becomes completely unnatural. This is only meant for connected speech, which means that you need to be a bit fast. Right. Now another movie, which is the movie Trust Me. Okay, and let's have a look at the script here. Look at all that hair. Is that your mom? Why does she look like that? She's disappointed in me. Now one more time. Look at all that hair. Is that your mom? Why does she look like that? She's disappointed in me. Now look at the pronunciation of why does she look like that. Quickly. Why does she look like that? Again. Why does she look like that? Slower. Why does she look like that? Now one more time. So does here, instead of does, I said does. And why? Because when the z sounds means the sh sounds, this z sound becomes j in connected speech, in faster speech. So instead of saying does she, you say does she. So that your pronunciation becomes more natural. As I said, you shouldn't be slowing down when you're pronouncing this way. So let's say it again. Why does she look like that? Why does she look like that? Now let's move to another movie, which is Silence. And let's read the script together. There's no hurry, it's early, plenty of time. Tell me, does he know I'm here? I cannot tell you. One more time. There's no hurry, it's early, plenty of time. Tell me, does he know I'm here? I cannot tell you. Now look at how I pronounce this. Does he know? Does he know? Where did the H go? Where did the H sound go? It's gone. So usually when does is followed by he, what do you do to the H sound? You drop it in natural pronunciation. Say, does he know that? Where does he live? Does he know I'm here? Like that. Okay. I guess we came to the end of today's episode. We talked about present simple. In the coming episode, we'll be talking about present continuous. We'll talk also about its meaning, pronunciation, and form, and we'll provide a lot of examples from different movies. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you one more time. And remember, if you like this episode, don't forget to press like, leave a comment, activate notifications, and subscribe to the channel. This was Shadi Abu Yusuf from British Training Center. See you again. Bye-bye.